Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. My name is Evan Nolan. I am Secondhand Burrito. I've been lurking here on YouTube for 12 years almost without ever having made a video. So, what brought me out of my hibernation? Something to announce. So, those of you guys who watch our webcast or our podcast on the Not in Hall of Fame network know me from our main show. But the reason I'm here to announce, or what I'm here to announce, is the United States Athletic Hall of Fame, which is kind of our baby that we've been doing for a while. A whole bunch of people have asked some questions about it, so I figured I'd go through them and then make the announcement and tell you what's going to be happening between now and November 1st, when we're going to be making the announcement of our first class. So first of all, again, I'm Evan Nolan. I am the president and co-founder of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame. What are we doing? We are actually setting up the first ever National Hall of Fame for sports in the United States, which is crazy when you think about it. It's kind of amazing that with all the Halls of Fames out there and with how the United States itself just loves setting up halls, there's one for football, baseball, basketball, sailing, hockey, boxing, soccer, the WWE, you name it, there's a hall. But there is one overarching one. We figured this out because we were talking about a couple of people who passed away, one from the Australian National Hall of Fame, one from the Canadian National Hall of Fame. Got us thinking like, hey, what's going on with the U.S.? Do we have one? And the answer was no. So we just were like, well, why don't we have one? And the answer was we couldn't come up with a good reason. So we decided to create one. So let me talk about why we're doing this. It's not just that we want to create a Hall of Fame, because we've done that before. We have the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame, the Fictitious Music Hall of Fame. We're doing other projects like redoing the Pro Football Hall of Fame right now, if anybody wants to get involved in that. But more than anything, we want this Hall of Fame to not be about us. We want it to be about the people of the United States. We want people to be able to vote for it. So we do have a committee that we're working with to make sure that we have the right people in front of you guys to vote. But what is more important to us is that you guys are doing the voting, and it's not just like pretty much every other hall is a closed room of writers or stuff like that. It's not our style, not what we're interested in doing. We want this to be as pro person and as or pro public and as open and easy to understand as possible. So what we're doing with this first class. So I guess before you get that, the next question is why should you care? I guess it's if you care about Halls of Fame as much as I do and some of the other people we work with on our channel do, it's a way to start from the beginning. It's something that's never been done before, and it's ridiculous, right? We have 130 names on a preliminary list just for athletes. We also have a whole bunch of contributors and I think another 130 coaches on the list. And we're going back to the beginning of sports, essentially, in the United States, back in the mid to late 1800s. So we're talking 125, 150 years of history that we're going through. And creating a class of the best of that is going to be a challenge. And we know that. And we don't want to do that without other people's help. So how we are doing this and what the process is more than anything. So we got together. I told you we came up with this on the podcast. I thought it was just kind of a fun idea. I didn't think anything serious about it. And then the chairman, Kirk Buechner, said, hey, we're going to do a quick Zoom call about this. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's COVID. We're going to do Zoom calls 2021. I get on the Zoom call and we have an Olympian. We have a couple of Olympians. We have a 9-time Pro Bowler for the NFL. We have a guy who just was elected NFL Fan of the Year. We had like some of our normal folks. And I was like, oh, this is a little more serious than I thought. So the next step was what was the process, what we're going to come up with. So what was put to the group was we wanted to make sure that everybody voted for 100 names. So you had to put 100 people out there, at least 15 of whom had to be women. The reason we did the 15 had to be women is because, particularly here at the beginning, we want to make sure that we were not just going, it was a largely male group, not that we were just going to largely just throw it over the top with just guys. It's entirely possible it could be all guys in the first class. I have no way of knowing that. I'd be surprised by that. frankly, but we wanted to make sure that we had women and sufficient number of them included from the beginning. So then it came down to what the criteria is. Well, it's the United States Athletics Hall of Fame. So the first thing is United States. So that meant they had to be an American who was doing this. So, for example, someone who is not, you're not going to see in this, at least in the first iteration of this, someone like Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky, one of the greatest athletes, probably the greatest hockey player of all time, although there are people who would debate that, Bobby Orr, Bobby Hull, Gordie Howe, a few others are talked about as well. But Wayne Gretzky is a Canadian. He played in the United States. He played in Canada as well, but he only ever represented Canada. So he does not count for this Hall of Fame, at least in this part. We're going to have a contributors section a little bit later, and he may end up in the contributors wing. But then we're talking a couple years from now before we get to that point. Someone like David Ortiz is near and dear to my heart as a Boston sports fan, also not going to be eligible. Someone like Martina Navratilova, however, is. So Martina Navratilova was born in Czechoslovakia. That she was born before Czech Republic happened, but came to the United States, became a United States citizen, and represented the United States in international competition. So in that situation where there's someone who's not born American citizen, but nationalized and representing the United States, we're going to count that person as eligible for the United States Athletics Hall of Fame. The second word in there is athletics. So what does athletics mean? That's one of those things we're probably looking at as we're going long term. For right now, we're thinking of sports. So something like chess, probably not going to be in there. Poker, which I know is on ESPN and a few other places, probably not going to be in there at the moment. Billiards actually is. We do have one person from billiards, but at least that's walking and standing around. It's walking around and doing stuff, not just sitting in a chair the whole time. So that line is a little bit fuzzy, but that's where we've landed on it for now. That's one of those things we'll look at in the future. The last part is who is eligible in terms of how old they have to be. So this was a complicated issue. And honestly, the main thing that complicated it was golf. So we talked about, well, we should be 5 years after they retire, just like any other sport. But you tell me when Tiger Woods is going to be retired, right? Because he's still playing now. If he keeps playing and goes on the senior tour, has he ever actually retired? So what we decided to do instead was they had to be at least 50 years old. So we started this, like I said, in 2021. We're now well into 2023 because things take time. So when we did this originally, anybody had to be born in 1970 or before, because that made them definitely 50 when we started the process. Next time, when we finish this group, I'd imagine, even though we'll be in 2024, we'll probably just move it to 72. And then the next year, we'll move it to 74 as we get all the way up and go from there. So you had to be born in 1970 or before. So when we went back to our groups, there wasn't just people on the podcast. We got more coaches in different sports and other things to vote as well. We had everybody submit the 100 names. So at least 15 women, 85 men. Oh, one other thing, no horses. By the way, so Secretariat, you're not going to find them. Secretariat, Man of War, any of the Triple Crown horses here either, just to give you an idea. So we had everyone go back and give us a list, and we went through and compiled the list and looked for a basically good break point. So when we hit that break point, there were 130 names. We thought that was good. We wanted somewhere around 100 or so to go in or to have up front. Next year, we're going to have a group as well, put more names in, and we'll compile those, and the top people come in. Will it be 130? I don't know. It's going to depend where the break point is. If we have like 116, and then if we go a couple more votes, we're at 190, we're going to just cut it at 116. If we have 116, the next one's like 140, we probably cut it at the 140. Just how it's going to work. It's all going to depend going forward as we get more people involved. So what we're going to do for this is we have an online vote, and their link is down below, but it's www.nothalloffame.com/USA. And you can go there and vote for the 25 people out of the 130 that you think should go into this Hall of Fame. So the 25 people are going to be across all the sports that you can think of coming through here, except, of course, skateboarding, because all of us somehow managed to forget Tony Hawk, which, if you know Tony Hawk, he's probably laughing about. We will not make that mistake with the second time through. But there's a lot of sports you're going to find on there, multiple people. And it is hard, dude. It is a hard decision to cut 105 of these people because this is the best of the best going all the way back. So you're going to have someone like Babe Ruth competing against Pete Rose, competing against Michael Jordan. Like it's just there are too many names. Let's think basketball. Think of your top 10 U.S. basketball players and realize that if you're using all sports, that 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are probably not going to make your list. You're probably cutting, Wilt Chamberlain from this list of people. It's absolutely nuts when we're going through it. But we want to make sure you guys are voting. As part of the voting process, once you go to www.NortonHallOfFame/USA, you can vote once a day. You can vote as many times as you want between now and when we make the announcement on November 1st, but you can only vote once a day. The same thing with us. By the way, I've voted a few times over the last couple of years. I'm not voting every day. I think that I don't want to be skewing this in any way crazily. But Kirk is compiling the numbers, and we will make the announcement for players, coaches, and contributors coming up, like I said, at that point. So how many are getting in? We're going to pick 25 athletes for the first year. So the idea here is for the first 4 years, we'll probably do 25, 25, 25, 25. Get the first 100 names in, and then we'll probably cut down from there to start. And then start adding some more categories, maybe teams. So like the USA Olympic team, the Texas Western 1966 basketball team, things like that. And that would also be contributors, people like Wayne Gretzky, people like, I don't know, Pedro Martinez, right? People who had a big impact on sports in the United States, but weren't actually American citizens. So we'll do that as well. Oh, and by the way, Puerto Rico is an American territory, so you will see people like Roberto Clemente on this list as part of this. So the announcement I said is coming up on November 1st. In the meantime, I have started recording, and part of the reason I want to do this here is I'm in a t-shirt, which I'm much more comfortable in. But you'll see me doing some recordings here of all of the nominees coming up. Those videos are going to start being released here and on our Norton Hall of Fame page, where we're going to be, where I'm going to go through the 130 nominees at least. I've recorded 10 of those videos now. I have another, 16 ready, or like on the cusp. I have all the, I'm fine with the scripts on them, but I'm going to be recording those, and then we'll be placing those up a lot between now and then. If I have time, we'll do the contributors and the coaches as well. But you'll see those all coming up here on this site and on our Norton Hall of Fame site, where you can also find our podcast, which we do we record it every Thursday, but it comes up when it goes up. I'm not in charge of that. I am not a tech guy. As you can tell by the fact I'm live streaming my first video because I couldn't figure out how to do the rest of it. So if you want to get involved with the group, more than anything, if you think you know a lot about sports, we're more than happy to have people join us on the committee. It's not a huge commitment. You're going to get a list probably in January or so of the next folks who are eligible, and you're going to vote for 100 of them, at least 15 of them being women, and we're going to compile them and put them up for next year. I don't think we'll go as late as November next year. We'll probably make it a little bit earlier in the year, but like I said, this process has been a challenge. We had to incorporate, we had to do a patent or a trademark check. We had all sorts of stuff that happened over the last year and a half or so. And then also, it's kind of scary. I'm just a dude. I'm not used to having my face on anything. I've been working on, Twitter and Facebook and everything else for a while on a whole bunch of stuff. But I think it's important that you guys see who's behind this organization when you're going forward. So if you have any questions, go ahead and place a comment underneath this. You can find me on Twitter at Secondhand Burrito. There's a whole story behind that. I'll tell you later. When you can also find me on Instagram at USA HOF Prez, because I'm on there. And other than that, we'd love for you guys to participate and let us know what you think. More than anything, this is meant to be your hall. This is not my hall. This is not Kirk's hall. This isn't any of the folks who helped us along the way. any of their halls. This is your guys' hall. We are just the ones who put the money forward to make sure it's going there. Oh, one last thing. A couple of people have asked me what people who are actually elected get. And the answer right now is we tell them they're elected if they're around. I'm not sure how, if Jim Thorpe is elected, how I'm going to contact anyone. But at some point, if this gets big enough, we hope to have some sort of way of memorializing this, maybe a place to do so. So I don't know if we're going to end up doing bronze busts. It's probably a little bit out of our budget, but some way to memorialize these folks going forward, and things along those lines. And that is really all I have. So thanks for watching. If anyone does, like I said, a live stream without telling anybody. So who knows if anyone's actually ever going to see this. But thank you for watching. Hope you guys participate. Hope you guys like the idea. And yeah, please vote. Vote early, vote often, and make your voice heard. This, like I said, this is your hall. Just hope that we're helping curate it the right way. All right, guys, take care. See you in another video. Actually, seeing a whole bunch of videos coming up here that are going to be posted here and on the other page, starting with Edwin Moses probably tomorrow morning. So we'll go from there. Take care, guys. Bye.